Imagine standing at the absolute pinnacle of human success, wearing a $50,000 golden watch on your wrist, only to look out your penthouse window and realize your life is completely hollow. Meet Julian. He was a ruthless, hyper-successful hedge fund manager who measured a person's worth solely by the digits in their bank account. He was young, brilliant, and completely devoid of empathy. He lived by one strict rule: time is money, and weakness is a choice. He had the luxury sports cars, the multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio, and a reputation for destroying his competitors without a single shred of remorse. But his flawless, cold world began to fracture on a dark, rainy Tuesday evening. While stuck in a massive gridlock traffic jam in the heart of the city's financial district, Julian looked out the fogged window of his chauffeured limousine. There, sitting on the freezing, wet pavement under a flickering street lamp, was an old, weather-beaten homeless man named Samuel. Samuel wasn't begging, and he wasn't holding a cup for spare change. He was simply sitting in silence, holding a bizarre cardboard sign that read, "The most valuable things in life cannot be ticked by time." Driven by a sudden, uncharacteristic burst of irritation and elitist arrogance, Julian did something he never does. He stepped out of his warm car, walked straight into the pouring rain, and approached the old man. Julian wanted to mock him, to prove that money could buy anything, including the old man's so-called philosophy. He unclasped the ultra-luxury golden watch from his wrist, dangled it in front of Samuel's tired eyes, and offered a mind-blowing trade: his priceless masterpiece of Swiss engineering straight off his wrist, in exchange for that dirty, worthless piece of cardboard. Samuel looked up, his deep, intelligent eyes locking onto Julian's cold gaze. The old man didn't look shocked or greedy. He just smiled gently, nodded, and handed over the sign. Julian took the cardboard, tossed the watch onto the wet pavement, and walked away, convinced he had just proven how pathetic the poor truly were. He had no absolute idea that this single impulsive swap was about to unlock a dark, decades-old mystery that would turn his entire financial empire upside down and force him into a high-stakes battle for his own survival. But before we reveal the shocking twists and turns of this mystery, I have a quick question for you. Where are you watching this story from right now? Drop your country or city in the comments below. Now, let's get back to Julian and the mysterious sign. The night he traded his watch, he threw the wet piece of cardboard into the passenger seat of his sports car, drove to his lonely penthouse, and poured himself a drink, laughing at how easily the homeless man had given up his message for a piece of shiny gold. But the next morning, Julian's automated robotic routine completely shattered. As he gathered his things to leave for a massive corporate merger meeting, he went to pick up the cardboard to throw it into the trash chute. That was when the morning sunlight hit the back of the sign at a specific angle. Julian froze. The back of the cardboard wasn't blank. Hidden beneath layers of dried mud, grease, and decades of grime were faint, handwritten corporate serial numbers and a faded, elegant signature that made Julian's blood run completely cold. It was the distinct signature of Arthur Vance, Julian's own late biological father, a legendary billionaire philanthropist who had mysteriously vanished 20 years ago, leaving his entire fortune to Julian's deceptive, power-hungry stepfather. Terrified, confused, and consumed by a sudden wave of childhood memories, Julian canceled all his high-profile investor meetings, ignoring dozens of urgent calls from his assistants. He sprinted down to his car and drove furiously back to the dark alleyway where he had met Samuel the night before. But the old man was nowhere to be found. In his place was something far more alarming: a ruthless group of heavily built men in dark corporate suits, aggressively searching the alley, turning over garbage bins, and tearing apart the makeshift shelters of the local homeless community. Julian watched from his car, his heart pounding against his ribs. He instantly realized these men weren't looking for ordinary street contraband. They were hunting for that specific piece of cardboard. Sprinting back to his private office and locking the heavy double doors, Julian used his high-level administrative security clearance to run the hidden corporate numbers through his firm's most private, encrypted database. What the system uncovered left him completely breathless, gripping the edges of his desk just to stay standing. The numbers belonged to a secret, multi-billion-dollar offshore trust fund, one that had been legally locked and sealed 2 decades ago, on the exact night his father disappeared. The database indicated that the only way to access or liquidate the fund wasn't through a digital password, a master key, or a biometric retinal scan. It required a physical, handwritten ledger key that had been smuggled out of the company. The very key, the exact sequence of numbers and letters, was written on the dirty piece of cardboard Julian was holding in his hands. As the days turned into weeks, Julian's sleek, elite existence began to collide violently with the raw, harsh reality of the city streets. He completely stopped caring about the stock market, leaving his multi-million-dollar clients stranded. Instead, he became obsessed with tracking Samuel through the city's darkest, most dangerous corners. Julian traded his expensive tailored Italian suits for a simple, oversized black hoodie and worn-out sneakers just to blend into the shadows. He visited homeless shelters, soup kitchens, and abandoned subway tunnels, showing a photo of the old man to anyone who would speak to him. The more time Julian spent in these places, the more his eyes were opened to a world he had spent his whole life ignoring. He saw educated people, fathers, veterans, and kind souls who had simply fallen through the cracks of a cruel system. He began to realize that the homeless community wasn't an invisible mass of failures. They were an organized, fiercely loyal network keeping a massive, dangerous secret safe from the corrupt elite. Eventually, after weeks of dead ends, a young homeless girl guided Julian deep into the basement of an abandoned, crumbling textile warehouse on the edge of the industrial district. There, sitting by a small barrel fire, was Samuel. The old man didn't look surprised or afraid when Julian stepped out of the shadows. He looked up, his face illuminated by the warm orange glow of the fire, and smiled as if he had been waiting for Julian to arrive all along. Samuel motioned for the young billionaire to sit on a broken wooden crate. With a heavy sigh, Samuel began to speak, revealing a heartbreaking grand truth that altered Julian's reality forever. 20 years ago, Samuel wasn't a beggar on the streets. He was a brilliant corporate attorney, the chief legal counsel, and the absolute most loyal best friend of Arthur Vance. Samuel explained that Julian's stepfather hadn't inherited the empire legally. He had orchestrated a brutal, silent, hostile takeover and staged Arthur's tragic disappearance. Before the hitmen could capture Samuel, he had managed to break into the private vault and copy the true inheritance trust key onto a random piece of shipping cardboard from the mailroom. Samuel had fled into the streets, giving up his career, his identity, and his comfortable life, choosing to live as a homeless man for 2 decades, hiding in plain sight to keep that cardboard safe until Julian was old enough and mature enough to understand its true value. But the emotional, stunning reunion was cut brutally short by the sudden, terrifying sound of heavy boots echoing against the concrete floors and the shattering of glass windows. The warehouse doors were kicked open with immense force. Julian's stepfather had been tracking Julian's personal phone, GPS. Surrounded by 10 heavily armed corporate security guards, the stepfather walked into the dim, cold warehouse, a wicked, triumphant sneer plastered across his face. He looked at Samuel with disgust and then turned his cold eyes to Julian. The stepfather held out his hand, demanding the cardboard sign immediately. He openly admitted to the crimes of the past, boasting about how he had successfully ruled the empire for 20 years. He threatened to eliminate both Julian and Samuel right there in the dark basement, planning to burn the warehouse to the ground and bury the secrets of the Vance family forever. Julian looked down at the dirty, creased piece of cardboard in his trembling hand. Then, he looked up at the glittering golden watch ticking arrogantly on his stepfather's wrist, the very watch his stepfather's team had recovered from a high-end street pawn shop just days prior. In that terrifying, high-stakes moment, Julian didn't panic. For the first time in his entire life, he finally and deeply understood the profound message Samuel had written on that sign. The most valuable things in life truly cannot be measured by time, money, or gold. True value lies in loyalty, truth, and justice. Julian looked at Samuel, who gave him a slight, knowing nod of approval. Julian turned back to his stepfather, a calm, fearless smile spreading across his face. Just as his stepfather demanded the cardboard sign, Julian suddenly tore the sign into pieces and threw them into the air. The armed guards rushed forward, believing the evidence was destroyed. But Julian smiled. "You're too late," he said. Hidden inside the cardboard was a tiny tracking chip and a digital copy of every secret document. The moment he entered the warehouse, the files were automatically sent to journalists, investigators, and every major investor in the company. His stepfather's face turned pale as police sirens echoed outside the abandoned factory. The trap had already been set, and there was no escape. The next morning, at the grand corporate gala, Julian stepped onto the stage and exposed decades of corruption live on international television, bringing down the empire his stepfather had stolen. As the crowd watched in shock, the authorities led his stepfather away in handcuffs. Samuel's sacrifice was finally honored, justice was served, and Julian learned a lesson worth far more than any fortune. True wealth is not measured by money, but by truth, loyalty, and the lives we change. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for more powerful stories with unforgettable life lessons. Thanks for watching, and remember, true wealth isn't what you own, it's who you become. See you in the next story.